Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up this week's theme of unexpected vocals, checking out songs where the vocalist just isn't what you were expecting. It's a pretty clear theme title. I don't know why I've decided to explain it at the beginning of every single video this week. Today we're going to be looking at a group that I think we've checked out before. Maybe I've just heard them on my own. I'm not entirely sure. Kaonashi with the track We Got One. Let's dive in and see what they're bringing to the table today. Oh! Oh man, the drum introduction to this and the drum part right here is so good. Expanding on this breakdown, I'm digging that melody. Gradual retardando. That's a very smooth transition. Dang. That track goes hard. Alright, jeez. Where do we start with this? Alright, so one thing I do want to focus on for a moment is a point of the track where they actually decided to do something different. A lot of this song is rhythmic and textural. The drums give us really nice grooves with a strong backbeat. The bass and the guitar tend to mimic whatever the bass kick is on the drums. For a majority of the song, we ended up with that galloping, those three notes back to back, that gallop sound that we get through our verses we had in our outro. It's present in a lot of the places in this track. Um, Sometimes it's just one note. Sometimes there are three notes, like a dissension kind of thing going there. But that's really what it's focused on. It's creating this rhythmic and textural floor for the vocals to exist on top of. That's how many of the sections in this track are uh, designed. Coming out of the breakdown, though, there was a deviation from this. Off in the right side of the song, there's a guitar that takes a lead melody line. I really loved this. As much as this sound is familiar to me, it is post-hardcore after all. I've listened to a ton of it in my life. I find this to be very much a home center for me musically. I can listen to this forever. But I can't ignore the fact that when we had that melodic guitar, dawned on me just how much was missing from the song. It is an empty part of it. I wish more of this track would have went in that direction. Kind of, I wish a lot of post-hardcore went in that direction. The post-hardcore I tend to enjoy most are the ones that have melodic elements in them. And so while I do enjoy music like this, and I know I need to listen to more Kaonashi because I'm pretty sure I've heard them before. I knew what I was in store for before I started this reaction. And I think I've listened to an EP of theirs, but I meant to do a deep dive into their stuff and I haven't yet. This is just a good reminder I need to do that. But that one moment when I got a glimpse at their melody writing and to listen to how that balances the grit and aggression of the vocals, which kind of are semi melodic at times, but also primarily are textural and rhythmic, the song really benefits from having a melodic quality to it. And I really liked that moment where the guitarist comes in and has a nice little riff to throw in alongside the groove and the texture and the rhythm. Speaking of the vocals, I suppose that this is just something that can't be ignored, primarily because this is the week's theme of unexpected vocals. This falls into another situation like with Thank You Scientist a couple days ago that I knew what I was in store for because I was aware of them, and this is one of those groups where if you don't know what you're in store for, this could probably be very unexpected. One, I think it's a genre thing. I do expect shriller harshes in post-hardcore, but it is not something that always happens, and I think that this vocalist has a very unique, harsh style for any music, but even within the genre of post-hardcore. But it's also one of those voices that I don't think I typically associate with the person. He doesn't look like the person who's going to have this vocal delivery. So it's unexpected on two levels, I think. Which is pretty cool. And I'll be honest, I think the first time I heard it, it was a little jarring. I acclimated to it rather quickly, but again, as far as rock and metal is concerned, I guess rock, technically punk. Where does post-hardcore deviates from punk. Obviously, it's hardcore punk after that. That's what the genre means. But I feel like there's rock elements in it. Definitely. Anyways, what I'm saying is this is, my home area for that. So I can acclimate to these sounds because I have a lot of reference for them. But I think people who don't listen to post-hardcore are going to find this vocal style to be quite irritating. It would not surprise me to see in the comment sections, I like the music, but I couldn't get past the vocals, or something to that effect. I think it's going to be a common opinion. Yeah, it's going to be a hurdle. I don't think that having that opinion is wrong in any way. Not that having any opinion is wrong, but certainly this one I think is going to be one that I can agree with. It's definitely a bit of a hurdle, but I think it works really well. Like I mentioned, it's a bit unique even within this realm of music. What I find most interesting about it is that a lot of the song is heavier, it's grittier, it's these really fat low end tones. There really isn't a lot of higher end pitches on any of the instruments. It fills out this mid to low range sonically, and then the vocals are like way above that. It creates this gap between them, which is why one reason I think that the guitar solo, or the guitar riff, sorry, worked so well, the melodic one, because it fills in this vacuum that is in this gap between the pitches that the band plays and the pitches that the vocalist sings. But it's certainly a head voice. It is way up there in pitch, and there's just the tiniest bit of compression put in it. When I describe it that way, it's a sound that I think would normally grate on me. And right now I kind of want to dig into why, but I don't necessarily know that this is a good place for that. And I don't want to take up too much time in this video, but I do think that normally I would have negative things to say about the vocals, how they were a hurdle for me to get over, how I enjoyed the music, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But for whatever reason, they work for me. And it's just, it has to be familiarity, right? But when I describe it that way, I'm like, yeah, that's not usually what I like in vocals. There's definitely something going on that works well. Another thing that I like about the vocals, though, is that it's not static. It's not just a single pitch that he hits all the time. It is a range of pitches. It's not a very wide range, but it's enough to create some sonic diversity in the vocal delivery. And it's also layered and mixed and alternated with these lower, I don't know if I could call them growls, but lower harshes. I'm not particularly sure what the technique is. But we have a second vocalist in here, a backup vocalist, who has their own lower harshes, and then the main vocalist also seems to have a lower harsh that he dips into from time to time as an accentuating idea, to have a line all the way up here and like the final syllable just come down here for this really low gnarly sound. And that allows some diversity as well to create some contrast in this melodic delivery. It all comes together for me in a way that typically doesn't. And I think that's something special about Kaonashi is they keep things interesting from moment to moment. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the drums. This dude is a beast. I don't ever remember having, like, this isn't a bullet point in my mind for this band. Like, the vocalist I remembered, right? And I was like, okay, the rest is just post-hardcore. This is the thing that stands out to me, is the vocalist. That's what I had in my mental file for this group. But now I've got to add a new bullet point. Beast of a drummer. I mean, just, golly, that first drum break that took us into the second section of the song. Phenomenal drum break in and of itself. That fill was gnarly, but it wasn't just self-serving. It also was the transition into the next idea, which the next idea was pretty cool too. It had some really great groove to it with some syncopated rhythms that we didn't really see on the first one because we were so focused on that gallop. We didn't need syncopation. We had an interesting rhythm here. We moved from that into the syncopated idea, though, and that syncopation was rooted in the drum fill while also being a drum solo. Just phenomenal. And as I continued to listen to what the drummer was doing, the drum fills, the transitions, the little ornamental ideas, they were so good all over the place. The drummer's just really solid and has fantastic melodic phrasing. And I don't know that I can say enough about the drummer. Just absolutely lovely stuff. I think the last thing I want to touch on, because everything else is standard post-hardcore stuff, right? We got verses, we got choruses, it's a lot of abrasive sounds, a lot of lower end stuff, focusing on texture and rhythm. I don't think there's anything else that really stands out to me, but I need to focus on this one part. There's a breakdown to the song. I'm not usually a fan of breakdowns. They break the song down to its most simplistic components, and while that can be cool, sometimes it's not something that's always effective for me. What I found interesting was that this track didn't just stick to the breakdown and then use that as a bridge and come back into a chorus, say, or maybe a third verse or something like that. The breakdown was a transition into the next idea. That is to say that the next section was built on the breakdown. We stuck with that halftime feel. We stuck with the spaciousness of accents and that slower perceived tempo. But we built off of that. All of the space that we had originally was just room to put things into, and we began injecting all these little ideas in all of that space, building an entire section out of that. It was a way to reduce everything down to the ground floor so we could build back up again, not as a way to divert attention to something totally different. I really liked that idea, and I thought it was effective as well because this wasn't the only breakdown, which almost made this feel like a transition concept more than a section all upon itself. The second breakdown, the one closer to the end of the track, right before the outro, I felt was pretty awesome too because it wasn't an immediate juxtaposition, which is typically how the breakdown works. We're going at this speed and then we pull it down to this speed instantly, and you feel that it's jarring. It makes you feel like you've slammed into a wall, and that's probably why people really enjoy it. It's that feeling of this drastic drop in speed. In this track, though, the second breakdown comes from a ritardando, which is a gradual slowing down of the song. We don't immediately jump into it. We slowly take the song down until we hit that point. It is a gradual movement to the breakdown. The ritardando left me with questions. Where are we going? Why are we slowing down? What are we going to do next? And then they hit me with a second breakdown that is a natural progression of where we were going. Yeah, very great idea. Absolutely love that. And then the outro, if I remember right, was some new ideas entirely too. I think we returned back to the gallop from the first one, but we had some brand new vocal lines. So that was pretty cool. I like variation on ideas, and I thought that was a great way to sort of introduce some new stuff while bringing back some older ideas. I'm a huge fan of that. More bands need to do it. I think that's about it. I did laugh at one line. He said something like, I didn't have someone. I don't know what the word was. He says to teach me right from wrong, to pick me up from school, to place PlayStation 2 with. And it showed the PS2 controller on the screen. I can't wait to get to the lyrics to see what's going on there because that part caught me way. I mean, it's this isolated line, right? I have no idea the context that goes around it. He's just like, I didn't have someone to play PlayStation with. I'm gonna. It's gonna be pretty bad if I read that and it's actually like a sob story about not having people in your life or something. I'll be like, oh, it's not supposed to be funny. But out of context, it kind of comes out of nowhere for me, and was a little wild. So let me hit some lyrics, see if I'm gonna shove a foot in my mouth for that past comment, and see what's going on there. Now I don't think I know enough. I'm already we're already backtracking. This is a serious song, and I don't think I know enough to comment about it specifically, but I will touch on some things. It appears to be about somebody, fictional or non-fictional, that had a rough childhood and grew up to be somebody that they don't necessarily want to be, and still has very strong negative feelings towards people from their past. It starts over with a pretty casual anecdote. It says Grape Days soda, Chumpies and Butter Crunch, $1 in quarters, $1 left over from lunch. Cracking jokes and smokes, waiting for the 61. We spit until the bus comes. Says I spill purple all over my shirt. Friends sit back, they laugh. I laugh until it hurts because there's something deeply wrong. This idea of just a casual day. They got some soda and some sweets with some of the money that they saved over from lunch, presumably from school, I'm assuming. And they're just chilling at a bus stop, talking, and maybe laying down some freestyle. I don't know. It says spitting until the bus comes. I assume that's rapping, you know. Uh, he said, you know, I spill some of my drink and everybody laughs, and I laugh too because there's something deeply wrong. And this is the first part that really introduces a darker undertone to everything. Because up until this point, it's just a casual day right here. Says rude boy with the beautiful face. Don't know she's just another classic basket case of peer pressure on expert, but there's something deeply wrong, and I'm going along just to get along. You go with the flow. You succumb to the peer pressure so you don't create friction. This, I think, speaks to this character's inability to push back, to be themselves and not succumb to this peer pressure, and it's what leads to a lot of things. The next stanza says, hurt people, and I'm hurting every day. So I'm in pain, and that means that I push that pain out onto others. And since I hurt every day, I'm always pushing that pain out. It says, I never wanted to be this way, and I don't know what to say. It says, I wish I had your sister to show me right from wrong, to pick me up from school, to play PS2, to order me General So's, to keep me away from all this dumb shit. It's just like everything I do, I can trace back to my childhood. There's patterns from, you know, who I was, how I was raised, what my environment was that determines who I am today. I wish things were different. I wouldn't be doing what I am today. Talks at one point, says if my friends jumped off a bridge, I'd already be at the bottom. Jumping the gun, we jumped that kid because he crossed the street when we spotted him. So we got him. Again, this idea of going with the flow. There's this other kid. I don't know what the beef was between his group and this other guy, and they jumped him though. They saw him and got to him. He joined in. It doesn't sound like he wanted to, but he had to. The peer pressure was there. These things are what built him up, and created who he is today. At the very end, though, he says, I hope Jackie dies, I hope Casey dies, and I hope no one cries and they never find the bodies. Like I said, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of angst towards some people in his past. I don't know who Jackie and Casey are. Also mentions another time Jamie. He's pretty upset with somebody named Jamie. I don't know. Again, I don't know if any of this is based off of real life or if this is a fictional thing. For all I know, this is a concept album. But these are the things I'm picking up from the lyrics, and I think a lot of it fits with the angst of the music. Post-hardcore is just punk in general, regardless of it's hardcore punk, post-hardcore. Just a lot of punk style tends to be aggressive and abrasive. They're really great vehicles for lyrics like this, and I think they do a great job of presenting the feelings of these lyrics in the music. It all comes together into a total package. I don't know what I was going to say there. I don't think that's the phrase I wanted to go with. Whatever. It all works well together, is what I'm saying. Those are my thoughts. Kaonashi, we got one. Let me know what you thought of this track. If you had anything you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on, maybe you just have your own thoughts and opinions and perspectives about it, toss all that stuff down in the comment section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree, which takes you to this menu right here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for this one, but we do have one more video this week. I think it's a special selection. I don't know. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. We're going to check out a full album. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.